Hello, I'm Verna Hughes. I'm from Five Ways Ministry. We are a branch church of Word of Faith Christian Center. And my question to you today, does God answer prayer? Well, the answer is a definite yes. God does answer prayer. The answer might not be what you want to hear at the time, but He definitely answers prayer. There are three ways how God answers prayer. One, He can either say a definite yes. Two, He can say no. And three, He can say wait. Now let's look at the first one, when God says yes. A question to you, what is the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? Do you start each day in prayer? Do you start each day in God's presence and find satisfaction in Him? Or do you go for have your coffee first, go to the gym, whatever you do? Well, David, and like many of us, we have challenges we face, and there's things we ask God. Now, David sets a great example in Psalm 17, verse 15, when he says, "And I, in righteousness, I shall see your face. When I awake, I shall be satisfied with seeing your likeness." In Psalm 17, the verses 13 and 14, David cries out to God for help in the face of his enemies. And the verses says, "Rise up, O Lord, confront them, bring them down, rescue me from the wicked by your sword. O Lord, by your hand, save me from such men, from men of this world whose reward is in this life." Here, God answers David with a positive yes. Now, what happens when God says no to one request and yes to another? Rick Warren writes, "When the request is not right, God says no. When the timing is not right, God says slow down. When you are not right, God says grow up. When the request is right and the timing is right and you are right, God says a definite yes. And God will say go." In Matthew 20, verse 34, 20 to 34, there are two requests. In verse 20, the mother of Zebedee's sons came to Jesus with his sons and asked for the one of his sons to be sit at the right hand of Jesus and the other on the left side of Jesus in Jesus' kingdom. In Matthew 20, verse 30, there are two blind men sitting by the roadside. And when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." In both requests, one from the mother of Zebedee's sons and the blind men, Jesus asked them, "What is it you want?" What would your answer be if God asked you right now, "What do you want?" What will your answer be? The two responses for the two requests were, to the blind men, Jesus answered yes. Why did He say yes? Because He had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and they received their sight immediately. On the other hand, Jesus answered no to the mother of Zebedee's sons. Why? God still had compassion, Jesus still had compassion, but her prayer request was for glory, for power, and promotion for her boys. Now, Jesus points out that she does not seem to understand her request and say in verse 22, "Can you drink the cup I'm going to drink?" Here Jesus speaks of drinking this cup Himself. He's going to give His life as a ransom for many. In James 3 verse 4 it says, "When you ask and you do not receive, because you ask with wrong motives." Now, both requests of the blind men and of Zebedee's son's mother, both requests has to do with lordship. The blind men, the request came from the recognition that Jesus is Lord and the desire for something good. And the sons of Zebedee's mother, her request came from a desire to lord it over others. True greatness does not come from lording it over others, or from wealth, or from position, from fame, or having a successful ministry. Rather, Jesus says that true greatness comes from becoming a servant, to serve and not to be served. The Apostle James says, you do not have because you do not ask. Jesus says, ask and it will be given to you. For everyone who asks receives. That's according to Matthew 7, verse 7 to 8. It may seem an obvious point, but the starting of answered prayer is actually asking. When God says wait, do you realize that whatever difficulties you are facing right now, Jesus himself is praying for you? Example, Job. Job had to put up with increasingly irritating speeches from his friends in which they condemned him more and more. They accused him wrongly. Job described them as miserable comforters. Like the friends of Job, can we accuse others wrongly? For example, people in poverty, homeless people begging at the traffic lights, young mothers with babies begging for food daily. We say, oh, it must be their own fault. It must be the choices they made. Some of it might be true, but not always. Do not become a miserable comforter. Rather, as Job suggests, encourage, comfort, strengthen them, soothe their suffering. One thing we can always do is to intercede for them, pray on their behalf. In Job 16:20 it says, my intercessor is my friend, as my eyes pour out tears to God. On behalf of a man, he pleads with God as a man pleads for his friends. We are not told who the intercessor was, but he was a real friend to Job because he was pleading to God on his behalf. Prayer of intercession may not seem to have been answered immediately, but they will eventually be answered by God. And like Job, his fortunes were restored. God answers prayers. God answered Job, and God answered Job's intercessor's prayer. So whatever you are going through, just wait. We give God the glory and start your day by praying. Have a good day.